Okay, in this problem we're told to solve for x. We have to use the quadratic formula for it. And what I'm looking at to start with is this little equation up here. I'm told that negative 36 equals x squared minus 12x. And we're going to use the quadratic formula. Now, it doesn't mean you have to use the quadratic formula. You could try factoring as an example. But I'm going to go about this one using the quadratic formula just so we get a sense for what that would look like. And the very first thing I want to do is get everything on one side of the equation. So I'm going to add 36 to each side. And look what that's going to end me up with. I bring my equation over here, and now it's 0 on the left, and it's x squared minus 12x plus 36. Now that's kind of important. If you're going to use the quadratic formula, it needs to be 0 equals your formula, or your formula equals 0, but you need to have 0 on one side. Next step, we need to talk about a, b, and c. So a, b, and c are simply the numbers, the coefficients in front of your variables. Right here, oops, let's try that again. Right here, you can see there's a 1 in front of that x squared. So that's going to be my a. My a is equal to 1. Next, I'm looking right here at the number in front of the x. That's b. So negative 12 is b. And lastly, I look at the constants at the end. That is c. So that's going to be 36. And now, according to the quadratic formula, which I'll write out right here, you should have this one memorized. This is the negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And you can see I've filled in some of those parts for you down below. Let's just put in those numbers as we see them. I said c was 36, so we put that in the spot for c. And b was negative 12, so there's a couple b's that have to go in there. There's a b, and there's a b. And then there were a few a's. I think a was 1, so that one's pretty easy. Stick in a. Okay, so now I'm ready to start simplifying the formula. This is pretty good for starters, but I can work with this a little bit more to simplify things. For example, over here on the left, if I say, what's the negative of negative 12? Well, that's just 12. So we're going to say 12. And on the bottom, right, that's really easy. 2 times 1, well, that's just 2. What's under the square root symbol is a little more complicated. So I'm going to use my calculator for that. And you want to be very careful that you type it in exactly as it is written here. Because if you miss a parentheses while typing things into a calculator, you can get it very, very wrong. Now, in this case, this was kind of funny. It ended up being exactly 0. So now we're going to simplify this a little more. And you don't have to enter anything in here. You just do this sort of in your own notes. What's the square root of 0? What number times itself makes 0? Well, that's just 0. Okay, and I still have divided by 2. And what's 12 plus or minus 0? Well, you can imagine doing 12 plus 0. That's 12. And 12 minus 0, also 12. So I don't need to worry about that plus or minus. In this case, this just simplifies to 12 over 2, which simplifies to 6 over 1, which we recognize as good old number 6. And we're done. Sometimes there is only one answer. Often, you'll get 2 answers for this problem. X equals something, comma, something else. But in this case, when the discriminant is 0, right, that thing under the square root, then you're only going to get